On today's show, the Miami Heat take on the Chicago Bulls tonight, and I'll be joined by Big Dave of CHGO Bulls to talk about the Bulls season, preview tonight's game, and negotiate some fake trades. A fun one you're not going to want to miss here, Locked On Heat.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat. I'm Wes Goldberg. However you might be tuning in on YouTube, Odyssey, or wherever you get your podcast, thank you for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. And thank you to Big Dave of CHGO Bulls, former host of Locked On Bulls. Big Dave, thanks for joining me. How's it going? How's this Bulls season treating you so far?
Wes, first of all, it's good to see you. Second of all, it's not been treating me nice, but but I'm still here. And we still doing it. And yeah, man, it's a long season ahead, man.
It is a long season. We have 50 some odd games left. The first quarter of the season, first third of the season hasn't gone great for Chicago. They are 11-18. They just are coming off of a loss in which they gave up 150 points to the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves team without Karl-Anthony Towns or Rudy Gobert. Look, this is a team that made the first round of the playoffs last year. You added DeMar DeRozan last season. He immediately becomes your best player. A couple of years ago, you trade for Nikola Vucevic. You've got Zach LaVine. You're kind of putting this big three thing together. I actually like some of the other moves that you guys have made, like Alex Caruso and stuff like that. I know Lonzo Ball went down to be right before the season, hasn't played for you yet. But other than that, like what's going on with Chicago? Why has this season gone south so quickly for a Bulls team that was trying to build on a playoff appearance last season?
Oh, man. Well, with all the moves that AK and Mark Eversley made, and I've been a person championing, them ever since they got here. Everything they said they wanted to do, they did, and everything made logical sense of what they did. And you saw the results, improvement, went to the playoffs, 2 All-Stars on your team. Yeah, all that is great. This season coming in, the main issue, well, there were 2 for the Chicago Bulls. There was interior defense and three-point shooting. Those were the 2 clear things that needed to be addressed. You can't do anything about Lonzo Ball. That's an injury. When it gets better, it gets better. We understand that. So, but what you can take care of is going and get those 2 things. They addressed none of those needs. They didn't get any three-point shooting, and they didn't get any interior defense. The best interior defense move they did was getting Andre Drummond, who can get rebounds, because if you get a rebound, that's a defensive stop pretty much. Right. But outside of that, they didn't address the one thing that you have to have in today's NBA, which is three-point shooting. And the Bulls are atrocious at three-point shooting, shockingly. When they do shoot over 40%, they're 8-2. So, and those 2 losses just happened against the Knicks and the Timberwolves. Those their first 2 losses, shooting over 40% from 3. And those were ridiculous blowouts. Weren't even close. None of those games were close. And those 2 teams they lost to were on fire from three-point line. So, yeah, I don't understand why they didn't address that one true need. The defense, okay, fine. But the three-point shooting, you can't play in today's NBA at all without any three-point shooting. I mean, you're a Heat fan. You clearly understand this.
Look, and you mentioned the need for three-point shooting. Well, we're going to get into some fake trades later on. I know that the Heat have some shooters that are on their bench that they might want to be looking to deal before the deadline in February. We are in the middle of trade season. Rival teams circling the Chicago Bulls right now, kind of smelling blood in the water. Maybe they're going to blow it up. Now, all the reports around Chicago is that they're not ready to do that, but we will talk. Let's put a pin on that. I do want to talk trades with you and negotiate some fake ones later on. But
okay,
look, the Bulls, man, you look at the individual players and you like it. Like adding DeMar DeRozan, he immediately becomes Chicago's best player. What he's brought to that team, brought to that locker room, he's such a leader. Everybody speaks so highly of him. But like I said before, I don't want to throw around the term big 3 too loosely, but that's sort of what they were trying to build with DeRozan and LaVine and Nikola Vucevic. And conceptually, it feels like it should make sense. You have DeRozan as that inside-out kind of guy. LaVine, a knockdown three-point shooter. I know that he's been injured, still working his way back from the knee thing. Nikola Vucevic just hasn't been the guy, even though theoretically he could space the floor from the center position. Theoretically, it should work. In 2 years, a little bit less than 2 years, it hasn't worked. I mean, last season, they were that trio, DeRozan, Levine, and Nikola Vucevic was posted a negative 1.1 net rating. Not terrible, but definitely not where you want your best three players to be. And then this season, they've been even worse, getting outscored by 5.4 points per 100 possessions when those three guys are on the court. So why isn't it working with those three guys?
The best answer I can give you is Lonzo Ball. When Lonzo Ball was there, everything clicked. The Bulls don't have that IQ on the floor. And that IQ and that passer, that's what they need. They have to have that for this offense to go. Now, I will say it is a huge problem if your point guard, who is probably your fourth or fifth option on the squad, when he goes down, everything goes to crap. That's a huge problem, that was not addressed. But still, in fact, it is the issue. Lonzo Ball made everything better. He made everything simple. Everybody got their touches. The offense that they ran, which was when they thrived, was in transition. And Lonzo Ball gets those steals, he gets those passes, and he removes thinking, which I always say a great point guard does, is they remove thinking. Guys just react and they go. So now you remove that. Who's the one setting up the offense? Who's getting everyone involved? That's not a thing DeMar DeRozan does all the time. When he gets the ball, he's like, well, I'm about to go get these buckets up. When Zach LaVine gets the ball, it's I'm about to go get these buckets up. When Nikola Vucevic has it, now Nikola can definitely pass the ball. He can definitely pass and find everybody. But like any other big man, he has to have the ball given to him. He's not bringing the ball up, setting up the offense. It has to flow through him by getting him the basketball. Whose job is that to do that? Your guards around you are supposed to get you the basketball. And I just told you the two guys who have the ball aren't doing that. It's not what they want to do. They're going to go in and they're going to score. Now, DeMar DeRozan, I get it. You know what I mean? He gets the ball. He's going to get buckets. It's what he does. It's what he's done his whole career. I'm not saying he's a bad passer, but when you don't have any shooting around you, it definitely doesn't look right. He has to have shooting around him because he's taking up the space in the middle of the floor. So you have to surround him with some shooters for it to work. Just look at what he did in San Antonio. It's exactly how it went. It worked out there because he had shooters to pass to once he penetrated the lane. Zach LaVine has never been a great dribbler. He's a guy who I love more in a catch and shoot than I am on a guy who I want creating his own shot. Not saying he can't do it. He definitely can. That's why he got paid. He could definitely do it. But to continually ask him to do that, you're going to have issues and you're going to have turnovers and you're going to have bad possessions because his IQ ain't the strongest. Right. Your strongest IQ player on the floor is Nikola Vucevic. That's who it is. They have to run their offense through him like they did when Joakim Noah was here. They have to run their offense through him, allow him to get the ball, find the open man, find the cutter, find the three-point shooter, or if not, give it to him in the post and let him go to work and do what he does. That's what they need to do. It took them a while to even get to that, and they still don't stick with it. They have a problem with entry passes. They struggle with that, getting him the ball. They struggle with getting him the ball when he has a mismatch. Like all of this are things, everything I'm saying is something a point guard, alleviates, or somebody who can pass kind of alleviates. And so since you took that away from them and they don't have that truly, Caruso's not really that kind of guy. Dragic, as you know, he's good, you know what I'm saying, but he's 36, you know what I'm saying, and he can't play defense like that. So that's a hindrance. Ayo Dosunmu is solid, but he's still learning. He's in his second year, you know what I mean? He's not at that point yet where that's what he does. So it's been a struggle all the way around because they haven't found that kind of mix of finding a way to get Nikola to be the one who runs the offense, and you get what you get right now.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Lonzo Ball there, and kind of on paper, you would say, well, if no team wants to lose its starting point guard, but if there were a team that could lose its starting point guard, the Bulls were weirdly kind of positioned to be okay because of how much depth they had at the spot. Caruso, Ayo, Dosunmu, and Goran Dragic, obviously. And so you're like, all right, maybe it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but you're right. Like, the other thing about Lonzo is he's a willing three-point shooter, and he's really starting to turn into that. And Alex Caruso, as much as everybody loves Alex Caruso, he shoots what, twice a game? The guy just doesn't shoot.
Yes.
Ayo Dosunmu is solid, super solid, probably best as a backup or even a third guard at this stage in his career. And then Dragic is a nice change of pace guy, and that's what he is at this stage in his career. He's not the All NBA player that he once was. So it's just that little loss from Lonzo to this sort of three-headed thing at point guard. And then even from Levine being where he was last year to where it kind of still shaking off the rust a little bit this year. DeRozan being a year older, Vucevic just not being there defensively the way that he's never been an awesome defender, but he just seems a little bit worse on that end this year. Just those little step backs have turned a team that, let's face it, also were two DeMar DeRozan game winners away from being in the play-in tournament last year, but still a playoff team to being where they are now, which is falling further and further away from the playoff picture in the Eastern Conference. So I don't know. It's a shame what's going on with Chicago because they did put sort of everything that they had into like the DeRozan, Levine, Nikola Vucevic trio, but that group just isn't good enough to lead a team. Not at this point in their careers. We're going to talk more about this and what the Bulls can do about their roster and whether or not the Miami Heat can get involved in some fake trades here in a little bit. But first, today's episode of Locked On Heat is brought to you by Herro. Herro is the world's largest car sharing marketplace. With Herro, you can book any car you want, wherever you want it, from a community of local hosts. Browse a huge selection of vehicles for just about any occasion or budget across the US, UK, Canada, and Australia. Book a spacious SUV or a minivan for a family road trip. Get a classic or luxury car for a special event, birthday, or holiday, or find an affordable economy car if you're just on a budget and need to get from A to B. Test drive the new electric vehicle that you've always had your eye on just to see if it fits in your everyday life. Many Herro hosts can even deliver the car right to you. Every trip is backed by liability insurance. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Forget boring rental cars and find your drive at Herro.com. Thank you for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. It's available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. Before we get to some fake trades, talking with Big Dave from CHGO Sports, let's just look ahead to tonight's game. We're recording this Tuesday afternoon, a couple hours before the Heat host the Chicago Bulls. What do the Bulls need to do to get on the right track against Miami tonight?
Pray is one of those things. The other thing, I mean, when they played them the first game of the year, I think they did a good job of catching Miami off guard because they kind of didn't come in prepared to play the Bulls the way the Bulls were coming in prepared to play them. And also, Dragic had an incredible game. He really did. He saved them in a lot of instances. I believe he had 4 threes that game, but he looked great. That's the first thing I'm doing is starting Dragic, to be real with you. I've been wanting to see him in the starting lineup. And the other guard we didn't even talk about was Kobe White. Like, he's the other guard who, you know what I'm saying, the point guard, you know, combo guard. The forgettable Kobe White. That's my man. But he's not consistent enough. Right. And he's not a guy you're like, oh, he's a great passer. You've never really said that about Kobe White. He's got a high IQ. You've never really said that about Kobe White. But yeah, he's one of those other options that isn't really that option. But as far as, I want Dragic to start. He makes the most sense to me because I need the best IQ on the floor. I'm a big IQ guy, and I need more IQ on the floor. And he has a great one. Now, Caruso, as you mentioned, is a great one too. But like you said, I've seen him start and not score a point. And that's not going to cut it at all. Somebody has to be a threat out there to shoot the basketball. Dragic in Miami is clearly a threat to score because he gets there. He's more comfortable there. It's where he had great success was in Miami, you know. So him being there and their struggles right now at that position, I would start him and see how it goes, at least the first few minutes of the game, see how that works out for them. That's one. That's the one thing they do. The other thing, the Heat have been kind of up and down. You know, it hasn't been real consistent with them. Tyler Herro will have 2 games where he drops 40, he drops 39, and then, you know, kind of disappears. And Jimmy Butler is Jimmy Butler. It's what he does. We know what he's going to do. But the big thing is Bam Adebayo, because I know you guys were really reliant on him taking that leap this year to be that kind of guy. And I thought he would, to be honest with you. I really thought, I believe I had him as Defensive Player of the Year. Like, I thought he was going to take a huge leap for the Miami Heat. It just hasn't occurred yet. And I'm sure you could tell me or fill it in better for me why. But they're going to have to key in on him because, again, when they played them, he had a bad game against the Bulls. Mm-hmm. He did not have a great game. And Nikola Vucevic had a okay game, but with Bam having a bad one, it's okay. You got away with more things because Bam changes everything when he's on. He really does. He's vicious. And the other thing is a personal thing for me, and that's Dwayne Dedmon. I'm tired of Dwayne Dedmon playing the Chicago Bulls and looking like Wilt Chamberlain. That is so damn annoying to me. I can't stand it. I get on the show and I rant about it because I'm like, dude, I would take it from Bam. I am not taking this trash from Dwayne Dedmon, all right? I'm not taking it from him. Please, put an end to that tonight. Yeah. So, yeah, I think those things the Bulls need to shore up. And obviously the three-point shooting because the Heat are going to shoot those threes. You know what I'm saying? Caleb Martin and the rest of that crew, they're going to take those threes, and they're going to hit a nice amount of them. So, yeah, they have to combat those things to, see if they can get this victory again.
It's been a long time since these two teams played. It was the first game of the season. The Heat lost 116-108, obviously. But I will push back on the Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro haven't made that leap yet. Lately, Bam and Tyler have definitely – it's been about a month now where that leap has been really clear, especially with Tyler Herro. He's really evolved as a playmaker. So even when he's not scoring 30, 40-plus, his floor game has gotten a lot better, and I think that's something that you're going to see versus the first game. And then with Bam Adebayo, he's not he's isolating a little bit more. He's being a little bit more aggressive as the season has gone on. He's kind of found what spots work for him, and he's really loving this like little intermediate non-rim paint shot kind of 8 feet away. He's really kind of found a way to kind of take that one drop step or one jump step and then get into that spot and get a shot. The one thing against the Bulls is Nikola Vucevic, even dating back to his days with the Orlando Magic, always gave the Miami Heat problems. And guys and centers with size tend to give Bam problems because Bam wants to play a little bit more of a finesse game and kind of hit that 7-8 footer. And guys that are 7 feet tall can generally just put their arms up and make it difficult. It's been less of an issue this year for Bam. I'm not ready to say that it's not an issue anymore for Bam. So I'm really interested to see what this Vucevic-Bam Adebayo matchup looks like tonight. That to me is a key battleground of tonight's game. Also, just worth pointing out, no Kyle Lowry, no Caleb Martin for tonight's game.
Oh,
they're going to be out for the Heat. So what do the Heat do? Do they go back to that lineup? Caleb Martin, this will be his second game in a row that he missed because he didn't play against San Antonio over the weekend. And in that game, the Heat started Nikola Jovic along with Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Herro, and Max Strus because Kyle Lowry didn't play against San Antonio either. I think we'll probably see that starting lineup again. The Heat have won 4 in a row. They obviously won that Spurs game, so I see no reason why they wouldn't play the same starting lineup. So we'll probably see that again. If we do see that again, all right, now you've got Tyler Herro running point. You got Strus in there for some spacing. You've got Nikola Jovic in there for whatever he's going to bring. He's a 19-year-old rookie. Whatever he does any night, who knows? It's anyone's guess. It's a little bit of chaos. We'll see what happens. It's kind of fun. So those are some interesting little matchup points. The three-point shooting to me is the real key here because both the Bulls and the Heat this year have not shot it as well from three-point range as they probably had hoped they would. The Heat were the number one in three-point shooting percentage last year. They're not number one this year. They're down in the 20s right now. The one thing they do well is get shots up. They're averaging like 40 three-point attempts a game or something close to that, especially lately. The Bulls almost have the opposite problem. They're above league average in rate, in shooting percentage. They just can't get them up. They're shooting like 20-something a game. They just can't get these threes up. So it'll be interesting to see, okay, the Heat are going to get them up. Can they make any of them? The Bulls, can they get enough shots up to keep pace with however many threes the Heat end up making, which seems to be sort of the bellwether for every Heat game. Are they making threes or are they not? So that'll be some interesting stuff to monitor as this game goes on.
Yeah, you're talking.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you're talking to a guy who is also, just side note, a huge Jovic fan coming into the season. I was big on Jovic, and when I saw y'all got him, I was like, damn it, this is such a Heat move. Getting that guy nobody's looking at and nobody's paying attention to, and then they're going to turn him into something. I just know he's going to be good. As soon as he went to the Heat, I was like, he's going to be good. That's just what they do down there.
I did no research on him before the draft because Pat Riley doesn't really draft these international guys or had not historically. And I was like, he's not going to get this guy. Even though I did a little bit of work on him, but I never did a deep dive on him. Didn't put him on my big board, nothing like that. And of course, Pat Riley drafts him because that's what they do.
Yeah.
Surprise whoever
it's what they do.
We like him early on here.
He was definitely number 5 on my big board as far as who I wanted the Bulls to draft. He was number 5. And I wanted him, bro. I really just wanted him. I saw NBA player when I looked at him, and I was like,
great
dude,
feel. Great feel
man, dude.
Love his
Exactly, man.
Just because you loved him, you know what that means. He's gonna have a huge game tonight.
Exactly,
He's gonna have the best game of his rookie season. Mark it down. Whatever PrizePicks or whatever has for his points total, just go the over. Go the over. Maybe BetOnline has some odds on him. BetOnline is sponsoring today's episode of Locked On Heat. BetOnline is your #1 source for sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from pro football to college bowl season to basketball and the Since Over World Cup. They have it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. They're always the fastest and easiest way to get all of your sports betting information. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Locked On Heat on Twitter, Instagram. Email us, lockedonheat@gmail.com. Use the hashtag AskLOHeat to get your questions in for tonight's post-game show. Talking to Big Dave here from CHGO Bulls. Here's the moment we've all been waiting for.
Okay.
It's trade season, baby.
Okay.
Let's do it. All the talk around the Chicago Bulls lately is, are they going to trade Zach LaVine? Are they going to blow it up with DeMar DeRozan? Are they going to, what can they get for Nikola Vucevic? What kind of moves can they make? Blah, 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 blah. All right. You mentioned some three-point shooting. The Heat's got some shooters that maybe they can part with. The Heat also are a team that need to make some moves here. What do you say you and I get together and try to fire up the trade machine and try to get a deal done? What do you think?
All right, turn it on. Let's see what happens, man.
Are there any players? Let's start right here. Are there any players on the Heat's roster that are piquing your interest whatsoever?
There are two, but it's honestly, this is just simply because of three-point shooting and selfishness. But the one is Duncan Robinson, only because you guys aren't playing him and doing anything with him. So I'm like, well, obviously he's on the trading block, or he deserved not to be played. He hasn't been hitting his shots or anything like that. But the big thing is his contract, which is wild. And I don't know if the Bulls want to make that move for that, but he's definitely somebody I keep an eye on. Maybe they can get the Heat to take some of that money on and make that move. I don't know. We'll see. The other one is Max Strus. Only because correct. He is a Chicago guy and started with the Chicago Bulls. And he is another guy. The second I heard he went to the Heat, I wish I could find the tweet. I was like, oh, he's going to be great. It was like, he's going to be awesome with that team. It was a perfect fit for him to go down there to Miami.
Celtics fans are kicking themselves too.
Yeah, man. Like he's awesome for that. I was happy he found himself there because he wasn't going to find himself during the regime we had at that moment in time. But he seems to have found himself now. And yeah, he's somebody I'd also be looking at as far as shooting is concerned, because he can definitely do that.
Look, I think those are two names that the Heat would be willing to discuss. Duncan Robinson, obviously, kind of being shopped around, not so quietly right now. He's very available. I have been told it's one of the least tradable contracts in the NBA, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Max Strus is an interesting situation because obviously the Heat like Max Strus. They like him enough to start him in certain alignments. He's basically been their most consistently available sixth man, I should say, that this season. He's had moments, no doubt. Going through a little bit of a shooting slump right now, but he's still a good shooter. You expect him shooting comes and goes. You expect him to come out of it. The interesting thing with him is he's on an expiring contract.
Right.
And given how this season has gone for the Heat, I don't really know how many guys they want to bring back, since this is kind of a run it back group anyway, and it hasn't been playing up to expectation. Now they've won 4 in a row, and it seems like they got guys healthy and they're getting things together. So we'll see what happens by the end of the year, and what happens in the playoffs and things like that. But Max Strus is a free agent. Gabe Vincent is a free agent. Omer Yurtseven, who hasn't played for them because of the injury, is still a free agent. Do they bring all 3 back? Do they bring none of them back? Do they bring 1, 2 of them back? It's unclear. Whatever the Heat think of that, I think that they would be, and this is no intel, I have nothing on this, but my feel on it is they'd be willing to discuss anybody, basically, at this point, that's on the roster that's not Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Herro.
Right.
And probably maybe a couple, I don't know if they would really
Gabe Vincent?
Kyle Lowry deals, but whatever.
Gabe Vincent,
I think. Well, Gabe Vincent, I don't see any team trading for Gabe Vincent anyway right now because he's been out for 3 weeks with a very mysterious injury that nobody knows what's happening because the Heat never tell you exactly what's happening with injuries. So we'll see. TBD on Gabe Vincent. But
Okay.
Max Strus and Duncan Robinson, the one guy on the Chicago Bulls, if I'm the Heat, that I would be targeting, and I actually can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm going to go this
Say it.
anyway. I'm a little interested in what Nikola Vucevic would look like next to Bam Adebayo.
Interesting.
It's a shame how much the Bulls gave up for Nikola Vucevic. They traded for him, hoping that he could be sort of a central figure, like a part of this sort of big-ish 3 thing that they've got going on. He clearly is not that at this stage in his career.
Right.
But I think he's still a good player. If you take those expectations away, he's a good rebounder. He can get shots up. He can space the floor. Defensively, at least he's big, and I think there's ways that you can work around it. I think he's not really in that, hey, make him like a core part of your offense. But if you put him in a complementary role, the way that Memphis uses Steven Adams or New Orleans uses Jonas Valanciunas, that to me makes a lot of sense for Nikola Vucevic, and that would be kind of the role he would have to play in Miami. Could you make some sort of deal that includes the Duncan Robinson salary plus like a Dwayne Dedmon salary to get Nikola Vucevic? What else would the Bulls be looking for in a deal like that?
Definitely picks, for sure. The pick that you mentioned to Orlando is top 4 protected. So doesn't look like they would get that if they went into the draft. Maybe, well, they have an outside chance, but, it's very, very slim. And it's the Victor draft. So everybody wants a shot. Everybody wants a chance at the top. So that the picks would be the biggest thing for the Chicago Bulls. So I would say picks and 3-point shooting. So I don't know what Miami is looking like as far as that. I'm sure you can fill me in as far as picks are concerned. But that is definitely what we're looking at.
They have 2 first-round picks that are available to be traded. They can create a 3rd first-rounder if they lift protections on one that's owed to OKC in 2025. So if they need to go that route, then they can. They also have 2 second-round picks that are sort of distant, like 2027, 28, or 28, 29. I can't really remember. I don't know that second-round picks is getting it done for Chicago for Nikola Vucevic. They might at that point just say, you know what, screw it. We'll let him walk away in free agency if that's what it comes to.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, they want a nice return on that, but they know it won't be great. Like you said, he's 16-10. He still gets you free throws. He's still, like you say, he's still a good player, and I don't think the Bulls are truly using him correctly. But like you mentioned on the defensive end, which some of that stuff isn't his fault. Like there's a lot of backside help that the Bulls don't give him, and he's just left alone on an island. And a guy who's not a great defender being left alone on an island is not a good thing. Right. But like he's getting older. It's just what it is. It's the nature of the beast, especially for 7-foot tall guys. It's just the nature of the beast in the NBA. But yeah, they definitely are going to want at least a first-round pick. Or if you don't have that, it's going to have to be a bunch of seconds to do it.
Well, the Heat do have a 2023 first that they can trade. So I think the deal, would you do it for like a lottery protected 2023 first, Duncan Robinson, Dwayne Dedmon, for Nikola Vucevic? So you're getting a guy who could space the floor in Duncan Robinson. You're getting sort of a replacement backup center in Dedmon, but Dedmon's salary is non-guaranteed for next year, so that's easy money to just come off of.
Yeah, it's easy money, right?
And then you're getting the pick, top 14 protected.
You're gonna have to take some of that salary from Duncan Robinson. That's a big part of it. Because that salary, that contract, shout out to his agent. Like that contract is crazy to me.
I don't know how. I know that the Heat. I know every team has cash that they can trade. I don't recall. I don't think that the Heat have moved any of their cash. So if it's like a $2 million in cash that you attach to the deal, something like that, like whatever ownerships agree on. But I know that the Heat can't actually take money off the salary itself at this point.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to look at, maybe throw in a Jibarito or, some dominoes or something like that. We'll discuss it like that. We'll I'd be interested, you just start doing those things.
A nice Cuban cigar, like a box of Cuban cigars from Pat Riley.
You know what I mean?
So that at least gets us in the conversation. Right now, that's something that Chicago might want to think about. In Miami's case, they've been really reluctant to trade any of these first round picks because as much as a guy like Vooch could help, it's not a guaranteed smooth fit next to Bam. And the Heat have also been sort of hoarding whatever picks that they do have to make a bigger move, like the star move, right? They were involved in Donovan Mitchell, kind of poked around Kevin Durant and all that kind of stuff. Vooch is not obviously to that level. So if you trade one of these picks, does that take you out of the running for one of these guys if and when they become available? that's sort of the calculus that the Heat have to do. And that's why any sort of trade like this that we're talking December 20th, I think anything like this would have to happen much closer to the February 9th trade deadline. If the Heat are firmly in the playoff picture, they've completely turned the season around. They're like, I don't know, 6-7 games over 500, whatever it looks like. And they're now talking about, hey, can we get up to that next tier in the East, behind Milwaukee and Boston? Can we kind of get home court in the first? Like, if they're starting to have that conversation, then maybe you go in with one of these first round picks and try to shore up things. But even then, there's not a ton of time left in the season to sort of figure out the chemistry. I don't know. It'd be really tough. But that's sort of the thing. In terms of any other players on the Bulls, I like Patrick Williams. I don't think Chicago's trading him.
No, not trading Pat. Kobe White you can get. Kobe White, I think, would be available to y'all. And he seems like a Miami Heat kind of guy, to be honest with you. But he's definitely available to be traded.
Is there a Kobe White plus salary trade that works for Duncan Robinson? Because Max Strus doesn't make a move.
Yeah, that trade, we could make that work. I forget what Kobe's getting this salaries? Year. His comes off the books after this year. Yeah. I know that. Kobe's got like a 1 year extension. Right, correct. So his is off the books after this. So him for Duncan Robinson seems more feasible and logical to me. It would just the money have to be worked out,
Yeah, Kobe White makes 7.4, Duncan Robinson makes 16.9. So you'd almost, if you put the Caruso salary in there, that's $9 million plus 7.4, but that's Caruso and Kobe White for Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, no, that would never happen.
Than Duncan Robinson. That doesn't.
I can't. I would veto that for sure.
So I don't know that there's that's the tough thing, is like there's not really another middle salary. You're not trading Patrick Williams. There's no other middle salary that makes that work. The only thing that is the other way is if the Heat love Kobe White for some reason, you could put Max Strus and then that Dwayne Dedmon salary that we talked about earlier. You could kind of put those together, and now you're getting into that Kobe White salary range. But I don't know. Like, I think Max Strus is a better player than Kobe White, so I don't know why the Heat would do that. So,
that's wild to say too. But I mean, I threw that, and I throw in Tony Bradley just because like you guys can have him. That's like $2 million right there. Please take him. Like right now, you're welcome to him right now.
Well, that's the fake trade talk. That's our conversation with Big Dave's. You can find him over at CHGO Bulls. They do great work over there at CHGO in general. Catch their live shows, their post-game stuff, everything that they're doing over there. Great to talk with you, Big Dave. We really appreciate it. Thanks again for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Remember to subscribe to new episodes of Locked On Heat on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Ring the bell to get notified as soon as new episodes go up. And for your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, instant reactions, big game recaps, the take of the day. It's available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Good times, Big Dave. Thanks for hanging.
Thanks for having me, man. Shout out Locked On Bulls. Shout out my man Hayes. Shout out my man Pat, the designer, doing their thing over there as well. I do miss y'all very, very much, man. Thanks for having me on, Wes.
You got it.